Okay, so here's a little rundown of what we did this week with the ocean chemistry exploration part 2. Um, and really what we've gotten to so far as of Wednesday is part B. So let's just get right to it. The first thing we looked at in part A was what is a mole. So a mole, quite simply, for all we need to know is like it's an amount. It's a way of measuring how much of something. So if I look at my handy periodic table, which I happen to have inserted into my document just for simplicity's sake, let's get rid of. Oh, they're not going to erase. Oh well. A mole is really how much you have to weigh out to have, the amount that's on the periodic table, basically. So another way of thinking about it is like it's all relative to hydrogen, because hydrogen, basically, it's 1 gram. That's what this number right here is 1 gram of hydrogen equals 1 mole of hydrogen, versus helium, the next largest element, is 4 times as massive. So it's 4 grams of helium in 1 mole of helium. And then if you think about carbon, carbon is 12 times more massive than hydrogen. So there are 12 grams of carbon in 1 mole of carbon. So just a way to compare and to measure out different amounts. So we did some problems. We did some questions together. Right now, just basically I already answered this first question. How many grams are there in 1 mole of carbon? Okay, I simply go down here, I look at the periodic table, I find this piece right here, and it tells me 12.011 grams. Well, for our intents and purposes, we can round to the nearest whole number. So 12 grams of carbon in 1 mole of carbon. Now the next one gets a little trickier, but it's still not too bad. And that is, how many grams are there in 1 mole of sodium chloride? Now we have a compound. Well, it's as simple as it looks. So if I have a sodium and a chloride, I look at sodium, I see it's 23 grams. I look at chloride, and I see that it's 35 grams. So sodium, 23 grams, chloride, 35 grams. Add those together, 5 grams, and there's my answer. There are 58 grams of NaCl in 1 mole of NaCl. So I'm not going to do the next one for you because I think the same way. You go over here, you look at your periodic table, and you add them up. Let's do, just for fun, and look at sodium again, because I don't remember it off the top of my head. 23 grams for sodium. Just double check, but I'm pretty sure. Yep, look at that. 15.999. It's doable, but the question is, how many grams are there in 1 mole of water? Do the same thing. How many grams are 1 mole of calcium chloride? Do the same thing. How many grams are there in 1 mole of sodium carbonate? Do the same thing. So we went through and we calculated them, each of these, and we figured out number of grams in 1 mole. And we did each of them. This is a little tougher one. Let's look at sodium carbonate. So I know I'm going to need to find the molar mass of sodium, of carbon, and of oxygen. But I'm going to need to find more than that. Or I'm going to have to do a little bit more than just find the numbers. Because for sodium, whatever that molar mass is, I'm going to have to multiply it by 2. Because of this 2 right here. And that's going to go into my total. Oxygen, I'm going to have to multiply by 3. Carbon is a 1. There's no number here. So carbon is just the mass of carbon. So let's go. 3 grams gives me a 46. Carbon is a 12. I actually know that one off the top of my head. And oxygen is 16. Let's go back. So that's going to be 48 grams. And now we get to do math. 6, 1, look at this, good old addition. 8, 106 grams of Na2CO3 in 1 mole. And then what they did in the lab is I had samples of carbon, which is charcoal, table salt, and water. And they went to the balance and they actually measured out the 12 grams for carbon. They measured out the 48 grams for sodium chloride, and they measured out whatever many grams they calculated for water. And they took some pictures. And that's it for the first part of the lab.